Well, hello there, good friends, and welcome. It is your friendly neighborhood Pastor Darryl coming to you with this week's installment of Ask the Pastor here at Park Church. I do hope you and yours are well this day, and thank you so much for being with me. Also, thank you for those of you who have continued to send in questions. We continue to receive those, and if you have a question that you would like me to ponder and attempt to answer, please send it into the office at office@parkchurchgr.org. We'll add it to our basket, and we'll try to answer them in the weeks to come. But this has been so much fun. I really appreciate the comments, the emails, and the continued questions. So let's get to it this week, shall we? All right, we're back to our basket. We're going to draw a question this week. Thank you for being patient as I've answered a couple that have come from the congregation. Our question this week is, why does Park Church continue to choose to keep the U.S. and Christian flags in the front of our sanctuary? So if you've never visited Park Church, if you're one of the folks watching this Ask the Pastor question time, and you've never actually been in the church, in the front of our sanctuary on each side of the chancel, there are two flags, the United States flag and what's called the Christian flag. And this person is asking, why is it that we have these flags in our sanctuary? That is a common question. It actually, folks ask that question periodically to me, like, why does Park Church have the U.S. and the Christian flag in the front of the church? And I do know that one of our retired ministers, the Reverend Morris Fetty, has actually done a sermon on this in years past. And maybe I'll ask our historian to dig that up and we can post it or something. But I'm going to do my very best to answer this question. The very short answer is, I don't know. I don't know when the flags were placed in Park Church in the sanctuary, and I don't know why they continue to be, other than tradition, the living tradition of Park. What I do know is I have seen a picture of our sanctuary from 1882, and there was no U.S. or Christian flag in the sanctuary. And then I've seen a picture of our sanctuary from 1953, and the flags, both flags were present in that picture. So somewhere between 1882 and 1953, the flags were placed in the sanctuary, and I am guessing that the reason why they continue to be present in our sanctuary is because of the living tradition of Park. Most people who worship with us, who have a long living memory of our worship services here at Park, remember seeing the flags in the sanctuary. That's my guess. That's my easiest answer. But let me tell you a little bit of the history of when U.S. flags and Christian flags started to find their way into the sanctuary spaces in Christian churches, because it has not always been the case. In fact, most churches did not start to place U.S. flags in their sanctuary until the start of World War I. It's around World War I that U.S. churches started to put U.S. flags in their sanctuaries. And this is a troubling history, to tell you the truth, my friends, because much of the pressure to put a U.S. flag in the sanctuary was driven by the Ku Klux Klan. A lot of churches were gifted U.S. flags by the Klan, and then the Klan pressured the churches to fly those flags or place those flags in their sanctuary under the penalty of being persecuted by the Klan, and you can use your imagination on what that persecution may have looked like. Now, I am not insinuating that is how the U.S. flag got into Park. Please do not make that connection. I'm just saying historically in the United States, the Klan was a major driver, and this was an anti-German, anti-communist campaign that the Klan was perpetuating in the United States. And here in West Michigan, in Ottawa County, there was a Christian Reformed pastor in Holland, Michigan, who the Klan tried to pressure into flying a U.S. flag or putting a U.S. flag in the sanctuary. This brave, courageous Christian Reformed pastor in Holland, Michigan, in 1915 refused to fly the flag, and he and his family had to flee in the middle of the night because the Klan, well, again, you can use your imagination, but they threatened harm to him, and they threatened to burn down his church. And so he decided to leave instead of inflicting his family and his church on that, with that punishment. But there's also a positive side to it. So let me give you the other half of that history of the U.S. flag being put in sanctuaries actually comes from our black church sisters and brothers. The black church tradition in the United States actually started putting flags in the black church sanctuaries prior to World War I, but after World War II. And it was our black church Christian brothers and sisters who started putting the flag in their sanctuaries to honor the 14th Amendment, the Emancipation Proclamation, and the freedoms that they finally were able to be given and granted in the Constitution post-Civil War. So on one hand, the U.S. flag was placed in sanctuaries as a litmus test of one's national identity, and on the other side, it was placed in U.S. Christian sanctuaries as a symbol of liberation and the fight for freedom. And that tension exists still to this day. There are folks that see the flag in the front of our church, and they see it as a symbol of the freedom of speech, the freedom of religion, the fight for freedom, which God, in my estimated opinion, freedom is at the very heart of God's love for us, that all people ought to be free. And they see that in the church and when they see the flag, the U.S. flag. But others see sort of this Christian nationalism, and it troubles them. And if the board of deacons here at Park ever wanted to, I don't know, raise this question and have this conversation, I would be happy to help guide the church through it. But again, I think because of the living tradition of Park, we haven't had that conversation yet. And until we have the conversation, no flag will be removed or added. We have to start with the conversation first. Real quick about the Christian flag, that actually started in 1907. I think the Methodist minister who created it was Overture or Overton. I'd have to look that up. And it was a response. This is interesting. That Methodist minister felt that the Christian church needed a flag. The Christian church actually hadn't had one before that. And it won't be surprising that a New York state Methodist minister steeped in sort of the nationalism of the United States, patriotism of the United States in the early 20th century, used red, white, and blue as the colors. And it was after World War II, in a move to around the same time that Under God was added to the Pledge of Allegiance, that Protestant churches started to really prominently fly the Christian flag or place the Christian flag in their sanctuaries. And again, I think it just becomes living tradition for congregations to perpetuate that. So that's a much longer answer than I anticipated, but it's a rich history. I encourage you to search online for it or go to your local library. There's a lot more to read and to learn, but that's the short answer to that really profound question. Thank you to whoever asked that question. That's really sparked a lot of stuff in me, and I hope it has done the same in you. So if you have a question, please send it into the church. I always look forward to answering them. They really do spark the Holy Spirit in me, and hopefully it adds to this wonderful conversation and dialogue that we're having here at Park Church. But until I see you again, my friends, may God bless you, may God keep you. Godspeed. Bye-bye.